And does it look like we're live now? Are we live now? Is it taking forever to load the stream up? Oh, okay. There we go. We are definitely live. So let me go to, I can share this actually. That would be ideal, more than ideal. Actually, I found out an easier way that I could do this. Okay, so I can just do that instead. That works better. Alrighty. I can just post it to Twitter and then, ask people if they can come to my stream and then ask me some questions. And I already have somebody else in here. What's going on? I don't know who's in here, but thank you very much for tuning in. This isn't going to be the longest podcast. I don't see this going an hour or anything like that. It's just going to be around 30 minutes, maybe hopefully less. Just wanted to kind of briefly talk about the games versus the Orioles, the two game series versus the Orioles in Baltimore. And then I also want to talk about a little bit about the upcoming Red Sox game tonight at 6. I think it's 6 p.m. Central Time. And then I also want to talk about Canely, a very bad situation with Canely. And then I want to talk about the lineup a little bit. So we'll pretty much just go by this as quick as we can. I wasn't able to talk about it yesterday and then the day before that. But my co-host, he's not with me currently. He's working right now, I believe, at the moment, but I still wanted to talk about it. But when he does see this podcast, and I know I already talked to him on it about Twitter, but if you guys catch the last podcast, which was actually called the Joe Kelly Fight Club with my co-host, John, we were basically talking about giving our predictions also about the Orioles game, what would be the first game of the series. We actually didn't get to talk about the second game because we didn't have a podcast in between those games. But I did say that Aaron Judge was going to go swinging and he was going to hit a home run. Not only did the Judge hit one home run, but he hit 2 home runs in 2 games, which I absolutely take. Last time he got the prediction, he got the brownie points, so I won this prediction, and I get the brownie points now. Judge looked fantastic. When we'll talk about Giancarlo Stanton, Stanton looked glorious. I mean, Stanton's looked locked in all season long. I don't see any haters, don't see any trash being thrown at him, which, I mean, there's no reason to say anything bad about the guy. He's been locked in the entire time. Looks fantastic. Couldn't ask for any more from my man G. Specifically the first game, 8-6. Garrett Cole, he wasn't, or not 8-6, sorry. 9-3 was the first game. Apologies. Garrett Cole had a lot of really, really good stuff. I think he reached 102 pitches, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty good outing. I know at the end he kind of was losing his mojo a little bit. I think it might have been from fatigue, maybe because, I mean, even a pitcher like that kind of caliber, it can kind of take a toll on you, when you're throwing over 100 pitches, especially, I don't remember the last time he's thrown over 100 pitches. So that could be it. Maybe he's getting a little too jumpy with his fastball. I'm not really too sure, but regardless, I mean, Cole pitched, almost 7 innings, only gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs. And I mean, that's the thing you're going to get out of Cole is Cole doesn't give up too many hits in a sense of giving up RBIs, like base hits. He's going to give up home runs, if anything. And if that's pretty much all he's going to give up, if he's going to give up 3 earned runs, and that's basically what we have from him right now, if this is only the beginning and it's going to continue to escalate into something positive, him giving up 3 earned runs the way he did, I'm fine with it. I was happy with how Garrett Cole pitched, and he's only going to get better. I actually wanted to look up his stats because I'm not just a fan of ERA. I know a lot of people only like ERA, which is fine, I guess, but I am more into the advanced analytics. So I want to get every perspective I can about the guy. Right now he's got a 3.09 ERA, 4.28 FIP, a little high, will come down the more that you pitch. That stat starts to adjust itself a little more. His FIP is really weird right now, but like I said, it takes time for it to adjust itself out, work itself out. His Sierra, it's a little higher than I would think it was, 3.93. But I mean, like I said, these kinds of things are just going to work themselves out, balance themselves out the more that the season goes along. And like I said, if these first 2 games at Garrett Cole, if this is the weakest point of him, this is exciting. This is basically what we spent. Well, not me in particularly, but this is what Cashman and, USS Cashman did all along. This is the whole reason why they spent this much money, because even when the guy is not on his stuff, even when he's not blowing everybody out of the water, collecting, 326 total strikeouts last year. I could be wrong a little bit off of that. But if this is like the worst part of Cole's worst part is literally the best part of like the majority of the pitchers in the league. Like I said, like if this is the worst that we have, like I am completely fine with this. I am more than okay with this, and it's only going to get better from here on out. So I am not worried in the slightest about Cole. I don't know who would be worried. I mean, at least me. I'm not expecting him to come out of the gate immediately and be like, 15 strikeouts every game. Like it's not going to work like that. It's not that realistic. I honestly still don't think he's even in his prime yet. Like I still think the best of his career is yet to be shown. Even as incredible of a season he had last year, I think there's always room for improvement, even with a guy who had such a spectacular season like he did last year. Like he still has way more in his career to offer. But I guess the overall point I'm trying to make is Garrett Cole looked good, even though he gave up some mistakes. I think he might have been a little fatigued because he probably hasn't thrown that many pitches. He hasn't thrown that many pitches in a real life game that actually meant something in quite some time. I would say since his time in Houston. Since a postseason game, I would say. So that made me really, really, really happy. Overall, everything else looked great. I mean, are we really surprised that Chad Green looked good? Not really. His fastball is amazing. Overall, the Yankees just looked really good the first game, 9-3. Mike Ford, sack fly, came in clutch. Aaron Judge looked good. DJ LeMahieu had an incredible night. Are we really surprised? Not really. He went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Incredible night for DJ. He just continues to hit the ball like a madman. Then we go on to the game that happened last night. It was a little shaky, especially towards the end. But the Yankees ended up going on top 8-6 because Aaron Judge, again, I mean, am I surprised that Aaron Judge hit the, basically game-winning home run? Not really. I mean, Judge was locked in, and Judge ended up going, he was 1 for 4, but how I feel, even though he struck out 3 times, if you get the hits when they matter most and you're able to knock in the runs that you need to when you need them most, I don't care that Judge struck out 3 times. He was able to, get the Yankees back in front at the end of the game. And that's all I can ask for the guy. That's all that matters to me. So what? He struck out 3 times. He came in clutch when it matters most. And all that matters is you make the most of your opportunities and you win the game. That's all that matters. It could be the most ugliest win in the world, but as long as you come out on top, a win's a win. That's all that matters. So, and then, Stanton. I mean, Stanton looked great, 3 for 4 with 1 RBI, 1 walk. Stanton has been playing out of his mind so far. I hope he continues. I love the guy. I've always been a huge supporter of his, even though a lot of people like to trash on him for, his health. He's made out of glass. And then also he just strikes out too much, which I don't think strikeouts mean anything. If it just proves anything, it proves that you would rather a guy strike out than ground out into a double play. At least that's how I look at it. And then, it was a little shaky for Loaizaga. Loaizaga, he has good stuff. He has really, really, really good stuff. The problem, and this is where I'm going to bring up Canely, because I know someone said regarding the Tommy situation, can we panic now? I will talk. This will be a good time to talk about this because I was wondering during the game, I was like, okay, Loaizaga, he did what he needed to do. I thought 2 solid innings of Loaizaga was good enough. I was like, okay, surely Boone is going to pull him out. And I'm like, I know Adam Ottavino just pitched, so that wasn't an option. But, Green was good. And I know Green pitched 1 inning previously, but I'm pretty sure Green was still ready to go. If, those kind of circumstances arise, you still had Canely, and then you still had Britton, which I know they ended up closing with Britton because Chapman has been out. By the way, Chapman is back too. So Britton will no longer have to close. So Britton can probably go back to that 8th inning role guy, and then Chapman's going to be closing again, which is excellent. But it seems like every time there's a positive with the Yankees in terms of injury, there's always a negative. And that's why I was like, why is Boone so concerned with leaving Loaizaga out there? Like, I believe in Loaizaga, don't get me wrong, but I think Loaizaga did what he needed to do. He pitched 2 solid innings and got us where we needed to go, or got the Yankees where they needed to go. And I was like, it's time. It's time to pull him. Like, that's a problem that Boone has. And I love Boone. I think Boone is an excellent manager. But if there's one thing I think that he kind of struggles with is not exactly over-managing, but under-managing. And he just doesn't know when to pull guys out, which, I faulted him. But now it makes much more sense. I don't fault him like I did earlier because Kahnle ended up not being ready. And from this specific tweet that I saw about Tommy Kahnle, he said he had an MRI and he's due to have some he already had some tests, but his MRI today due to forearm tightness. And I know Jack Curry said something about Boone said Kahnle had an MRI today because of forearm tightness. He will be reevaluated. Certainly a concern when you shut him down from throwing. Didn't want to speculate anymore until after Kahnle is examined. So, yeah, definitely a huge blow. It does, like I said, it makes more sense why Boone didn't put him out there, didn't basically pull Loizaga out of the game and put in Kahnle because of this issue. This is not good. Not good at all. I don't like it. If we know anything about Kahnle, he had a spectacular bounce back last season. And I know that game that he pitched against the Nationals, I mean, he pitched solid. And that changeup, he's got one of the most filthiest changeups in the league. And to kind of prove a point of how good his changeup is, I want to go to StatCast and look up just how much movement, because the vertical and the horizontal movement that Kahnle has on his changeup is just absurd. It's ridiculous. It is almost an unhittable pitch, especially if he puts it the bottom of the strike zone. It's a very, very difficult pitch to hit. So I know that at least for 2019, his vertical inches was about 1.5 in terms of average, which was really good, above average. And his inches of drop was 28.9. That's absurd for a changeup. That is a absurd amount of movement. But I know you guys already pretty much know how ridiculous his changeup is. I don't think I have to go into too much detail about how ridiculous it is. It's great. It's his money pitch. I think in terms of all the pitchers that we have, I think the most deadly 3-pitch combo that you can go against is Adam Ottavino's sweep and slider, Kahnle's changeup, and then Chad Green's running fastball, his high fastball. Those 3 pitches, when you face those relievers back to back to back, they're like the 3 horsemen. I know it's technically the 4 horsemen, but you get what I mean. Like, they are just a deadly trio combo with those 3 pitches. And it's very, very, very hard to do anything productive when those guys are going back to back to back, even when it's Britton and then Chapman. Like, this bullpen is dumb. We already knew how ridiculous this bullpen was last year. And then Britton, gives up ground balls left and right. As long as your fielders are on point, they're on their heels, and they're good to go, you're good with Britton. He's going to ground people out into double plays. He's going to get you those free outs. The fielders just have to be on their toes, and they got to do a good job at, scooping the ball clean, getting the throw in. And then you got Chapman, which Chapman is back now. I don't have to say too much about Chapman. He's got a good solid slider, which occasionally he'll use, but most of the time those fastballs are just ridiculous. Sometimes he does give me heart attacks. You would never want to get nailed in the back or anywhere on your body with one of those pitches, because he's throwing 104, 105 miles per hour sometimes. But, that bullpen is dumb, really, really, really good. Definitely I would say the second best bullpen behind the Rays in terms of last season, probably this year too. But yeah, Kahnle's not good. I wouldn't say panic immediately, because I still think even without Kahnle, we still have one of the best bullpens in the league. But on the same side, on the flip side of that, you don't want a guy like Kahnle out. Not only is he a reliable pitcher and he's going to get you through the season effectively, he's going to be a good, solid pitcher to have in the postseason that you're going to rely on, especially with that changeup, because a lot of guys have a lot of trouble hitting that changeup. You don't want a guy like that out. You never want a reliable guy. And plus, Kahnle is just it. Even when he's like not on his best stuff, it's just so fascinating to watch how his changeup moves. Like, the amount of movement that his changeup has is just ridiculous. I love watching Tommy Kahnle, and the energy that he brings to the ball club and the energy that he brings on the mound. You just don't want a guy injured like that. So, am I panicking immediately? No, but am I concerned? Definitely am, especially when you have an injury as serious as a forearm tightness. That can't be good. I know a lot of people are jumping to conclusions and be like, Tommy Kahnle's not going to be back till 2022. I don't want to think that negatively, but am I ruling out the possibility of him having Tommy John or something like that? Not necessarily, because this is definitely not something that you want to mess around with. So, should we panic? In terms, somewhat, I would suppose, because you don't want him to be out. But in terms of the season being over, no, not at all. These guys can make it through. If Canley's out, I still don't have any doubts that this team could win the World Series. So in terms of that, I wouldn't freak out. The season's never over. You never know. I mean, the Nationals won the World Series. We know the circumstance they had. Their bullpen is basically atrocious. They struggle. Their starting rotation is one of the best in the league, but their bullpen is just, it's not very good. It has a lot of issues, a lot of question marks on it. Yet they still won the World Series. It came in clutch because, Juan Soto, Anthony Rendon are ridiculous. Basically, the MVPs of the whole series outside of Strasburg's amazing postseason performance. And then, occasionally Howie Kendricks with some clutch moments, especially in Houston with the home run off the right foul pole. And then you had the grand slam in Los Angeles that basically you could hear a pin drop because the stadium was so quiet. So anything can happen. So in the sense that we're ruling out these guys for winning a World Series, getting number 28, never. You never can rule these guys out ever. So that's my thoughts on it. Who are the Yanks playing today? The Yanks are playing the Red Sox. I will actually get to that. The last thing I wanted to say about the game last night was Luke Voit. Huge grand slam. First grand slam of the season for the Yankees. I know it's not the first grand slam of the season. I think the only two other people who've hit a grand slam is Matt Olson, which was a walk-off against the Angels. I want to say it was opening night. And then Nick Castellanos hit a grand slam, I think, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday against the Cubs. But I think Luke Voit is the third player this year to hit a grand slam. I know he's obviously the first player to hit a grand slam on the Yankees starting lineup. But that made me very happy because I am a huge Luke Voit supporter. I'm a firm believer that he's better than what people think he is. His defense is very bad. Yeah, it's not great. I'll give you that. But in terms of a minimum of 500 plate appearances last year, he actually had a higher on-base percentage than Luke Voit. He had a higher on-base percentage than DJ LeMahieu. So we know how much DJ gets on base. So what does that mean about Luke Voit? Well, it means he's a good hitter. He can work out counts. He can get on base, whether it's through base hits, whether he hits a jack like he did last night with a grand slam, or he works out counts and gets walks. He's going to get on base regardless. So that's why I love Luke Voit, and I always have a lot of faith in the guy. Defense, not so much. It's a big yikes. I will say that his defense is not good. It's got to come up. He's got to do something about that. He's got to improve. I don't know what he needs to do, what adjustments he needs to make. But the good thing is, out of all of the positions in infield, you could afford to have a first baseman that has a below average defense with, at least average offense, if not better. I think Luke Voit is definitely above average in terms of hitting. And definitely getting on base. He had one of the best on-base percentages last season. But, Luke Voigt's my guy. I do like Mike Ford, though. I do want to say I do like Mike Ford. Mike Ford has a lot of potential, especially not last night, but the night before. He made the most of his at-bats. He got a sac fly. I mean, if you bring in runs, that's all I can ask for. That's better than absolutely nothing. So Mike Ford, he's getting the job done, doing what he needs to do. It's good to have two solid, reliable bats for a first baseman. I much rather prefer Luke Voit being in the starting lineup over Voit or over Ford. I keep saying Voit over and over again. I'd much rather prefer Voit to be in the lineup over Ford, but I basically complain if Ford's in the lineup. Definitely no. I have a lot of faith in Ford. He's a good hitter. I think he's finally getting the recognition he deserves, and he's finally getting playing time. Good for him. He deserves it. I also think Clint Frazier deserves a little more playing time, but that's a whole different story. I'm not really too sure what their idea is and what their plan is with Clint Frazier. But like I said, that's a whole nother story, whole nother can of worms to be open that I really have no clue what they're doing about that. Who do you think is better at third base, Giovanni or Miguel Andujar? Definitely Urshela. I don't even think it's close. I love Andujar for his offense. I love Andujar. I believe in 2018, I think I could be wrong on this, but I want to believe he was the first Yankee, for at least the first rookie Yankee in history to have as many doubles as he had. He basically broke the record for so many doubles for a Yankee rookie, which I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. But I love his hitting, basically. The point is he's a great hitter. He's got potential, obviously. We saw in his rookie year. He can only get better from there and progress. But his defense is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And that's putting it nicely. And if you want to know how bad his defense is, I will go to Fangraphs and let you guys know how bad it is. It's not good. In 2018, his ultimate zone rating, which is basically a combination of like double plays that you're turning and the amount of range that you have, and basically every aspect of defense that you can think of, it was a negative 16, one of the worst in the league. It actually might have been the worst among all qualified third basemen in 2018. And he had a negative 21 DRS, which is basically he had a negative 21 defensive run save. So he was absolutely atrocious. And like I said, I love his offense, but he has no business playing the hot corner. That is a very demanding position like shortstop. I wouldn't say it's as demanding as shortstop because I think shortstop is by far the most physical demanding position in the infield and pretty much in the entire game itself outside of catching for obvious reasons. But you want a good, reliable guy at third base. I'm not saying Miguel Andujar has to be like, Matt Chapman or Anthony Rendon or Nolan Arenado or anything, but he's bad. He's very bad defensively. And that's why I would definitely say Urshela is way above him. And it's not even close. Pretty much, I would say probably any third baseman in the entire league is way above Andujar. That's how bad his defense is in 2018. Thoughts on Clint being talked down upon for wearing a mask? I'm not really too concerned about that. Thoughts on Clint being talked down upon for wearing a mask? I mean, Clint can really do whatever he wants. Nobody can really tell Clint what he needs and doesn't need to do. I mean, that's on him. I'm not going to fault the guy for, doing what he wants to do. I prefer that the guy wears a mask, and if he wants to wear a mask, then that's on him. If he doesn't, then so be it. I'm not a doctor or an expert. I prefer that he wears a mask and sticks to it, but, don't really have too much to say on that because I'm more of just talking about baseball and stats and stuff more than just like I guess like a physical opinion or what someone has the right to do. I'm not really too much into that. That's not my expertise. So sorry that I didn't really answer your question, but that's pretty much the best I got on that. New York Ranger fan said, hi, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I think the last thing that I wanted to talk about, because like I said, I didn't want this to be like an hour and drag on. I didn't have like a lot to say today like I usually do. I could talk about the league, but to be honest, outside the Yankees game and the Padres game where they scored, I want to say 6 runs in the top of the 10th inning against the Giants and actually didn't blow the game this time like they did last or the other night. Outside of that, I didn't really watch too many games. I know Ohtani hit a 3-run homer, didn't end up mattering in the long run because the Angels bullpen is a train wreck. But I guess the last thing I did want to talk about is the game tonight with the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are a very interesting team. And I mean this. I don't think any team in the league has as big of a question mark on their franchise right now as they do, in a sense that their bullpen and their starting pitching situation is an absolute train wreck with every state of the imagination. Like, I have no idea what they're going to do moving forward. I have no clue. And we got Jordan Montgomery on the bump today. I'm very excited. I'm a huge supporter of Monty. He's got really good stuff, especially that curveball. When that curveball is on, hitters are not hitting that pitch. That is a very good curveball. And, I got a lot of faith in Jordan. I hope he comes out good. I know they ended up sending him down for obvious reasons. They were like, we're doing it only for roster management, and we're going to bring up Monty back up, which, I wasn't too worried about. Obviously, Monty was going to get a chance because he's too good not to be a starter. I mean, he can definitely be a bullpen arm, but I think Montgomery has a good chance at being a starter. And, I mean, he was. And I can actually go look at his specific stats because sometimes I don't know every stat in the world. I don't have that kind of memory, but I'm getting there. But in 2017, I mean, Montgomery, pitched 155 innings, 3.88 ERA, 4.07 FIP. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but I mean, it's still really, it's definitely a solid numbers. That's definitely like a number 3 guy in your rotation, number 4, and that's basically what Jordan is going to be playing, pretty much behind Happ, which I have more faith in Montgomery than I do in Happ, but that's another story for another day. So they're going against Ryan Weber. And if we look at Ryan Weber, because usually, like I said, I like advanced stats. I don't usually go off just ESPN or MLB because they only usually give you like ERA and things like that. I like to get into the more advanced analytics, kind of really see if the pitcher's been, unlucky or not, or if he's really just performing very poorly. I like to know these things, but right now he has a 14.73 ERA and a 12.62 FIP. He's just been very, very bad. I mean, I only know it's 3.2 innings. It's extremely small sample size. To be fair, pretty much everything right now has been an extremely small sample size. But last year, Weber pitched 40.2 innings and had a 5.09 ERA with a 4.20 FIP. Not very good. Am I worried tonight? Not really. Not in too keenly. I'm not worried. With this lineup, we have DJ LeMahieu leading off, Aaron Judge, Glaber, Giancarlo, Aaron Hicks, Luke Voigt, Gio Urshela, Brett Gardner, which I'm still not understanding that. I think Mike Tauchman should be playing majority over Brett Gardner, but, I don't make the lineup. And then we got Kyle Higashioka, Higgy, and then obviously Jordan's pitching. He's going to be on the bump tonight. Kyle Higashioka, I'm really excited for him. I hope he does a lot of great things with him. I like what I've seen, especially from last year. He can frame pitches pretty good. He's got good, solid defense, and he's got a good, solid bat. I mean, it's not the best bat in the world, but, he can get some things done for you here and there, get some home runs, get some base hits, especially with how Gary has been struggling this year. Gary hasn't got a single hit, which, is it too concerning? Kind of. But again, like I said, I mean, Gary Sanchez still hasn't, actually, in terms of offense, at least Christian Yelich has a home run. But, I mean, if Christian Yelich is struggling, I mean, anyone can struggle at that point. You know what I mean? So am I too worried? Not like a crazy amount where I'm just like constantly thinking about it. But yeah, Gary's definitely got to figure it out without a doubt because he's been a huge, massive slump to start off the season, which is not what you want to see from Gary. As good as he is as a power hitter and how many balls that he can knock out of the park, he's a good, solid hitter, and you want him to be on his A game. So yeah. It just really bugs me that people do that to Clint since I live with immunocompromised people and almost died in February. Yeah, I could understand that. I could understand that. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I think you can – I think what the problem is I think you can kind of believe what you want, like whether you think COVID is as bad as it is. But I think the thing that a lot of people are missing is it should almost be like a common courtesy type thing. Like, for example – even if I didn't think Corona was as bad as it was, if someone said, I feel uncomfortable, I have problems with my health, my physical health that could put me in jeopardy of the virus and it really taking a number and a toll on me in a possible situation, a worst case scenario, death, or transmitting it to another family member that you love and care about. At that point, I would think it would be almost like a common sense to have courtesy for people. Like if someone told me, like I said, can you wear this mask? I may not like wearing a mask, which personally I always wear a mask anyways, but especially I have to at work anyways. But would I wear a mask if someone told me to? Yes, I would, because it's just kind of common courtesy at that point. I don't know. What do you guys think? That's just basically my take on it. But is Greg Bird still in the Yankees? No, he is not. He is with the Rangers, and he's not in the Rangers starting lineup either. I want to say that I really don't know. To be honest, I don't really follow Greg Bird that much because he was a huge letdown from what he should have been in New York. But yeah, I'm not really too sure. I know he's with the Rangers, but I know he hasn't played at all this year. And I don't know if he ever will play this year because, like I said, he was basically I want to say he was supposed to be like oh man, I know someone said it the other day. He was basically supposed to be like a Brandon Drury, but like at first base. But it just didn't work out. And I don't think I have to tell you guys why Greg Bird didn't work out because he just basically wasn't up to par with how good he was. I mean, we saw, flashes and glimpses of what he could do in 2015. He did do pretty well. And, 178 plate appearances, not the biggest sample size, but he still was a solid hitter in that time frame. And then I think we all just got our hopes up because from there, it just kind of went downhill with not only his performance as a defender and as a hitter, but also the injuries just spiraled out of control. And then he just kind of went to I know he was playing in the Dominican Republic for a while, and then he came back to the majors for a little bit. And, I don't really know too much about Greg Bird. I kind of quit following him, to be honest with you. but I do know that he plays for the Rangers. I can tell you that much. Red Sox been doing kind of bad this season. Yeah, they have. I know they've won 2 games in a row against the Mets. If that says anything, I don't want to be too hard on the Mets, but the Mets do have a bullpen issue still, and they have an issue with, I don't know what their problem is, but it seems like every time Jacob deGrom takes the mound and has a really solid outing, they can't seem to score any runs and give him the win. That's why I think pitching wins are basically meaningless. We can argue back and forth about this, but I think pitching wins are basically meaningless because how can you tell me a guy, has a 10-9 win-loss ratio, pitched 207 innings with 100 or with a 1.70 ERA, 1.99 FIP, 9.0 F WAR season, and you can tell me that only pitching wins matter? That's ridiculous. That is beyond ridiculous. I don't like it. I've never been a pitching win WAR guy. I don't like pitching wins. They don't really mean a thing to me in a sense of comparing a guy and how good he is, because if it did, Jacob deGrom would not go, 10-9 and then the next season 11-8 with back-to-back Cy Young seasons. That's pretty much all on the Mets offense. That's all it is. And, also doesn't help that his, the bullpen is basically outside of Seth Lugo and maybe Dellin Betances. I'm not really sure on him yet, but outside of pretty much Seth Lugo, the Mets have literally nothing in that bullpen. And yes, Edwin Diaz used to be good, but he is pretty much becoming a former shell of himself. I know a lot of people, especially in the analytical department, still have a lot of faith in Edwin Diaz, or as Mets fans call him, Ed Lose Diaz. But I'm probably one of the few people on the analytical side that is kind of like, okay, Edwin Diaz, I mean, you got to show us now, because right now, if you keep going and spiraling down the path that you're at, if this is how your 2020 season is going to be, I mean, I don't ever like counting guys out, but you kind of have to think like, when is enough? Because I don't even know how many saves he blew last season. He blew too many that I can't even count. I mean, he had a 0 F WAR season for a reliever. Like, that's bad. That's really bad. I mean, the good thing is I can say he can strike out people, but the problem is on the flip side, I mean, he gave up too many home runs and, he walked way too many hitters, and, his ERA and FIP and everything was through the roof. I know his expected FIP was supposed to be better. His WHIP was extremely high, 2.14 right now, 1.38, not great for a reliever. His Sierra was supposed to be really good last year with a 2.63, but he just didn't have it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, well, after a few bad starts, it's like, well, the guy might be just getting unlucky. He's just getting unlucky. And the more that he does this I'm just like, okay, like I'm starting to not be on the unlucky bandwagon now. Now I'm starting to think there's actually something wrong with the guy. Like, it's command. What is it? Like, is he just becoming a former shell of himself like Craig Kimbrell is? Because Craig Kimbrell is nothing like he used to be now at the Cubs. I feel like the Cubs are kicking themselves for signing him to that massive contract that they signed him to. I mean, it's like, you have to wonder, when is enough with Edwin Diaz? I don't know. But I guess the last thing that I will say with the Red Sox is, the Red Sox are weird. Their pitching is bad, pretty much top to bottom with their starting rotation and their bullpen. And then they have, their offense. Their offense is, they still got good guys that can make you pay. JD Martinez, Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts. I know they haven't all started off to that hot of a season, but I mean, JD Martinez hasn't been that bad. Actually, let me see Martinez in a sense, because I always have to look up Fangraphs and stuff because I don't want to get anything wrong. JD Martinez, 85 WRC plus. I mean, JD Martinez definitely not at the level he usually is at, but I mean, I would say JD Martinez is definitely below average right now. Red Sox are struggling offensively, but do they have a good, solid offense? Yeah, for sure. I mean, Martinez is good. Devers is good. Bogaerts is good, even though Bogaerts and Devers have been playing really bad. Devers, I will say, defensively is atrocious. He might be the closest thing to Miguel Andujar in terms of defense, which I don't know if that's really saying much. But, I mean, Alex Verdugo's got a lot of potential. Michael Chavez hasn't been playing that good. Jackie Bradley, pretty much all for defense. I don't know what is up with Bradley. He always seems to make these good diving catches and robs people over the wall. He's a solid defender. Peraza's pretty good. Peraza's been kind of off to a pretty solid start this season. Am I really worried? No, not really. I mean, the Red Sox, what's killing them is not really their offense in particular, but their defense is a huge question mark. And if they're playing, Montgomery is on today, and then we got the bullpen. I know Canley's not going to pitch for obvious reasons, but you got, Chad Green, maybe Ottavino. I know Ottavino pitched yesterday, but, you never know. He might come out. Britton, maybe. I know if especially we get to the circumstance where the Yankees are winning by, where it's a save situation, you definitely can expect to see Chapman out there. I think we're going to win this game. I don't see why we wouldn't win this game. I don't think the Red Sox have any business, especially when they're pitching Ryan Weber. They don't have any business winning this game. Hope I don't jinx that, but I mean, that's basically point blank. I mean, they really have no business winning this game. The lineup is going to do well. I think I don't expect a blowout because I don't like to be that unrealistic because it doesn't happen every day where you're going to win a game like, 13-2. I don't expect that. I don't think Weber's going to be that terrible. I think I would expect, if I'm being realistic, maybe like a 6-2 ball game, maybe like a 6-2, 7-3, even a 6-4. I mean, it could end up being a close game because the offense for the Red Sox, I mean, like I said, they've gotten off to a slow start, but I mean, these guys you can never count out, especially with Martinez, Devers, Bogarts. I mean, these guys can make you pay in a quick hurry. So, Yankees will blow out Boston, change my mind. I like to think that, it's fun to see a good blowout against the Red Sox, but I'm also one of those people that doesn't like to stray away and be like totally unrealistic. Like, I'm not expecting like a 13-2 ball game. I'm not expecting that. That's why I'm trying to be realistic. Like, like a 6-4, 6-3, maybe 7-4, something like that along those lines, like 5-2, 5-3. I think it would be around a 2-3 run ball game. It's not going to be it's going to be a save situation. I think Chapman's going to come out and it's going to be a save situation, but I think the Yankees will win by 2-3 runs. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. They're playing at home in the Yankee Stadium. Yes, they are. That will definitely benefit the Yankees. I mean, it could benefit the Red Sox too. JD Martinez has incredible power, could benefit Devers for sure, since he's a lefty and he could boom some near the shore porch. Who knows? Things could happen, but that's basically all I have for you guys today. Guys and girls, thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I love talking to baseball. I love answering your guys' questions, even if I don't know the best answer, but I will always try and give you guys the best answer that I possibly can, because I want you guys to feel entertained. I want you guys to keep coming back and have discussions with me, because that's what baseball is all about. I love having discussions, even if it's not the Yankees. I've said this before in past podcasts. If you have questions about anything that's outside the Yankees, I try and watch every team. Like last night was one of those few, circumstances where I pretty much was just focused on the Yankees. Watched a little bit of the Padres game too, and a little bit of the Angels game. But I love talking about the league in general. Like I'll if you guys want to talk about the Red Sox, even though the Red Sox are the Yankees rivalry, I will talk about the Red Sox. I mean, I love talking baseball. So that's about it, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy the podcast. I expect to have another podcast tomorrow. I won't do one tonight after the game, but I should do one tomorrow sometime. And other than that, hope you guys enjoy the game and see you guys later.